Okay, my customer has asked me to paint some furniture for them, so I'll give you a quick look round it. Now, it's going to go magnolia satin wood. She was going to do it herself, but she's asked me to do it. They're not easy things to do, whether I spray them or paint them. That's the make of all the furniture. So she's actually already gone and bought some paint. So this is the paint she's bought. Now, what I tend to do with this is do all my preparation on the chair, because I'm going to show you how to paint the chair as a demonstration. So I'll do all my preparation on the chair, and that's going to be washing it down with some warm water, a bit soapy warm water, getting rid of all the dust and things like that on it. Then I'm going to wipe it over with some methylated spirits to get rid of any grease, and it actually will etch the surface a little bit as well. Then I'm going to give it a light sand down, dust it off, and with this stuff, because it's a one coat, I'm not going to use any primers or anything like this, because really this is self undercoating and that. So I'm going to thin a bit of this off with some white spirit, and I'm going to put 2 thin coats on. So the first coat will do any sealing and basically give it the colour all over, but without trying to get it covered in one, because you'll just get runs everywhere. And then what I'm going to do is give it a couple of days drying off, and then apply the second coat, slightly thinned again, and it should be okay. Because they're difficult to do. If you spray it, you can fill all the holes. So you'd have to put a light mist coat on, and put quite a few on. So it could just take as long. And again, she's already bought the paint, so I've no choice but to paint it anyway. And I've just been looking up about this furniture. Apparently this is wire that has got craft paper wrapped around it. So on your preparation you've got to be careful. You can't sand too much, because you may go through and go into the wire. Plus you want to be careful of how much water you use when you're wiping it down, in case there is any burr bits and create more rust or anything like that. So there's a few precautions to take into consideration there, the fact that it's not wood. First off, what you want to do is give it a dust off. There's actually quite a bit of dust in between all these wires, so I need to try and get that all out. There's no point in starting painting and you've not dusted it properly, so dust it off first. Once you've dusted it off, using some warm water and a little bit of soap, fairy liquid that is, just a little bit. You need a little bit, you don't need loads of that at all. And again, with it being paper and wire, you don't want to put loads of water all over it, but just give it a rub over. A lot of the prone areas are where the hands are going to hold onto the chair and things like that, you know. Surprising how much dirt you can get off with just a warm damp cloth. Give it a rinse now and then. Preparation, 90% of the work. If you get the preparation right, the paint won't come off. So give it a good wash down with a cloth. Once it's dried off, you want to sand it down. What I'm going to use is this fine sandpaper. This is a P240. It's quite a large piece, and what I'm going to do is fold it up on itself, like so, to give me a nice pad. And what that helps to do is it stops it from sliding on itself when you're using it. You can put gloves on if you want. There's not going to be much dust off this, so generally you just want to give it a quick go over the flats. It doesn't need too much, as long as you give it a sand. So make sure you give it all the sand, every part. And then once you've sanded it down, dust it off again. And then I'm going to give it a wipe over with methylated spirits. And then I'm ready to paint. Okay, you've done the sanding now. Once you've given it the dust off, which I've already done that now, using a lint-free cloth and some methylated spirits. Again, just wipe over mainly the prone areas for grease. You don't have to use lots at all, as long as you give it a little bit of a wipe over. You might be thinking, you know, I'm not wearing gloves, but I've only put a little bit on the cloth. Let that dry off for about 20 minutes and then you're ready to paint. I'll just show you now how my brushes are stored and I'll get ready to paint this chair and what I'm going to use. Now, I always keep my brushes in some water and I change the water every week so it doesn't smell. So there's two brushes I'm going to use for this. I'm going to use a 2-inch and a 1-inch, and they're both quite worn in, these brushes. So just shake a bit of the water out first of all, and then usually I always have a rubbish bag on the job, so I just squeeze my brushes out into the rubbish bag, and that just drags any water out and any gunk out of the brushes. then once you've done that, you can take some newspaper and you can scrape out the brush. I mean, this one's not been used as often as that one, so it needs a little bit more work on this one. And what this does, it makes sure you don't get any bits in your paint when you're actually doing the work. It doesn't get knocked off. And once you've done that, you can give it a wire, use your wire brush. The reason this has not been cleaned out for a while is because it's gone a little bit stumpy, but it's actually perfect for what I'm about to do with this chair. That's not too bad. Right, in this box I've got some old white spirit, because I don't throw it away. When I've finished using white spirit, I pour it into these tubs and it settles down over time and you can reuse it. All the pigment drops to the bottom. So, using some of that. You can give them a wash out. What I usually do is give them a wash out in some dirty white spirit, and then give them a wash out in a bit of clean white spirit just to finish them off. And with that stuff, just pour it into a pot we've got ready. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different pot now to do the final cleaning on the brushes, just to make sure there's no bits in. This is a nice clean pot, and this is some clean white spirit. perfect now. Just give you a closer look at those. That's nice. Ready to paint the chair. Like I say, the stump is because you don't want a long bristle going across the wire and that, because you can put too much paint in the grooves within the chair. With a stumpy, it can be quick, get it spread out. Right, I'm ready to get my paint out now. Taking a screwdriver, make sure you get your hand on the lid. If there's anything on the lid, give it a wipe round. Sometimes, depending on these products where it's a one coat or it's thixotropic, which is like a non-drip, it sometimes says don't stir them up. But if you open them up and there's a liquid on the surface, then give it a stir up. And in this case, I'm actually going to add some white spirit to this, so I am going to stir it up full stop. Right. You only want to make sure you've got enough in your pot to do the actual job itself. That's not too bad, to be honest. I'm actually only going to add a little bit of white spirit to this. Only a little bit. I'm going to see how that goes. Stir up. If I find it's too thick when I start work, I'll just put a bit more thinners in it. That's not a bad consistency, that. So then what you want to do next is work your brushes in. Because you've cleaned them out in white spirit, there might be a little bit left in the stock. And they're not too bad. What I'm doing there is pushing any white spirit from inside the stock out, because you don't want to start painting and then it all works out on you. Right, so they're ready to go now. So what I'll do is I'll give you a quick talk round of how I'm going to paint the chair. First of all, when you're painting the chair, the actual front here and this section are going to be the last bits you paint, because just before you paint this front section you'll be finishing the sides here first, because the front is what you look at, and that's where you want the nice finish on, not pushing from the back. You want to brush it from the front last. So with this chair, the best place to start first of all is with it like that. It's a bit, funny shape. You can probably put some blocks of wood just under the edges there, just to stop it from rocking. You can always put your foot on it to keep it nice and steady. Basically, you'll start painting the bottoms. You can do the bottoms of the legs, and then you can do anything that is facing you, which you won't be able to see when you turn it up the other way. Again, you only have to do the bottom edge of that round. You can probably do a little bit of the inner side there at the bottom, just the bottom piece, and then round the side here you can just do the bottom of the handrail round there. So then when you turn it up the other way, you can stand it on 4 blocks. And then finish painting it. So I'll show you that process. Right, I'm ready to paint this chair now, so I'm going to turn it upside down. I'll put it that way. I mean, you've got to get the basic idea. You're not going to be able to see it all happening, but right. So I'm going to start using the 1 inch on the small areas. Roll down first of all, kind of work round and up. And because I'm putting 2 coats on, I'm not really after getting it to cover as such. I'm just after getting a nice even coat on. So what I'll do, you can have a quick look. So again, you're not really trying to put loads of paint on, but you've got to make sure you get it into things, scrub it on really, and make sure you spread it out. Because again, that's why I'm going to leave it for a couple of days to harden off and then put its second coat on, because you've got to spread your paint out so much and scrub it in. You've got to leave it to harden off so you don't work up that first coat. So really I'm not putting loads on my brush, and straight away you've got to make sure you spread it out. There's no like just in one spot putting loads of paint on. And that's why a stumpy to do this is really important. So basically that's it. What I'll do is I'll show you some of the process as it's going. On the flats with the 2 inch, and on some of these bits, using your 1 inch. Spread your paint out. So it's not about putting loads of paint on. It's about spreading it out and getting a nice even coat. Okay. what you want to make sure you do is keep all your brush marks, you're laying off in the same direction as a wood grain would be. Always looks a lot neater. Just before I do the feet, I'm going to do around this bottom edge. Doing a little bit of the inside bit there. just round the bottom edge again, all the edges you can't see. I'll just work the bristles so the paint works into it. And then always just lay it off nice, neat. Right. Then I'm going to do the actual feet. Okay, well, that can be turned over now. That's what it looks like so far. Again, this is just the first coat. It should go in 2 coats, hopefully. Right, so just to finish off now, so I'll show you some of the back. Right, I'm on with the final bit now, so you can watch this now. It's quite difficult to do in a way. I'm using my 1-inch brush now because the 2-inch, I'm finding it difficult to work in as good as just the 1-inch. The wire is that dense in places and crisscrosses, so you have to kind of go a few directions with your paint, knock it in type thing. Well, it's come up quite well. I reckon another coat, it should be alright. Right, that's finished now. Give you a look round that. Like I say, it needs a second coat, and I'm going to allow this to dry for 2 days. I mean, it's not too bad at all, like.